welcome slide. We have an online one, so please mute your microphone until you're asked to unmute. But as always, use the Zoom chat, get involved, you know, to ask questions and to make comments. And also, if you drop off the call, please rejoin with same link. Now, just before we get going as to what we're actually doing today, I'd like to just say welcome back and hello to Adele. We've missed you the last few weeks. I know everyone's missed you the last few weeks. I just want to say hello, and it's great to have you back on the Zoom call, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you again in person. So everybody say hello to Adele in the chat, and obviously give her a lovely big welcome back to work and to turn. Right, what we are now doing today. So today, guys, we are planning my pitch. We are workshop number 8. And that means there's only one more workshop left after today. We said it would go quickly this summer, and it has definitely gone really, really quickly. So today, we're going to be reflecting on the story of your idea. We're going to be learning how to actually organize your pitch and what actually a pitch is. And also we're going to be learning how to create a visual pitch deck to go alongside your pitch and your story. And we're going to be practicing pitching, maybe for the first time for some of you, getting some feedback from your peers and from the turn team and from buddies in the room as well. So we've got some goals today. It's always important to have goals. As you know, we love goals. So by the end of the workshop, you will know how to structure your pitch and have practiced a pitch for maybe the first time. And you will also have a pitch deck. You'll know what it is and a template. At least you'll have the template ready to make one of your own. So we've got a really busy session, okay? We've got a super busy session today. And we're gonna look at exactly why do we pitch, right? Why do we actually do it? What is this pitching business that I'm talking about? We're then going to hear from Mariam, our champion today. It's great to have you in the room, who is a pitching expert. She is brilliant, and she's going to share with you her story, going through and doing multiple pitches to many different people. We're then going to be looking at how you actually create your story through the past, the present, and the future, and then actually the pitch deck and the pitch script and what you're going to be using for that. Then gonna have a break, okay? There's a pretty heavy hour ahead, and then we're gonna have a little breather, some water, chill out, literally. And then we're gonna go into a nice, very long 50-minute one-to-one breakout to start working on your own pitch script and your pitch deck before coming back to do a group breakout with your turn coach and with your colleagues and with other buddies in the room as well to practice your first pitch, to give you that opportunity, right? And then we're going to talk about to-dos and what's coming up next, because although we've only got a few weeks left in the program, we have so much going on, which is why you've been getting a lot of communication from us recently. So, you know, there is a lot of different things happening, and we want to make sure that you know what is going on in the last couple of weeks of the program so you can maximize it. So we're all talking about pitching today, but why? Because you're going to need to pitch at some point during your entrepreneur journey. But your first opportunity to pitch will be the Pitch Jam on Thursday, July 28th from 5:15 to 7:45 p.m. Okay, this is your opportunity to try your first pitch, make new connections, and to get feedback from experienced presenters. We're going to be inviting some entrepreneurs that work on the WeWork floor around us to come to this as well to give you feedback. It is going to be at the WeWork Hoxton, the Turn building. We will give you all the information about it. It's going to be in person. We're going to have some food as well. It's going to be a really, really great event. And that is next Thursday, the 28th of July. Now, I'm going to come back and talk about this later. We've got loads more information. But before that, let's go back and let's actually think, you know, what is this whole pitch thing? All right. Now, put very simply, a pitch is a presentation of a business idea to potential supporters. Now, a pitch can happen at any time, technically. So it's always good to have that language in your locker, right? To have it ready and practiced so you never know who you're talking to. And this is where maybe the most common example of a pitch is something called the elevator pitch. Now, you might have heard of this in a movie, you might have read it, you might have done one. but this is a term that's used, and it's where somebody very important might be somebody who has, you know, could really help you with your business, and you take the lift with them at exactly the same time. But you only have a very short amount of time with them, maybe 2 minutes, maybe a minute, right? To get to the same floor or get to the floor that they're going. And so you've got that amount of time to convince them that you are worth meeting again, and that you're worth to invest more time in to hear the rest of the story. The point of the pitch, it's not about saying everything. It's not about explaining all the details, but it's about explaining the really important details that people need to know. It's about the more catching details that will really capture the listener's attention, the audience's attention. Because if it's really delivered in a very compelling way, then there's a chance that you're going to get to have more time with that person you're talking to really explain your business and what you need. But it's also, of course, you know, it's really a story as well about what you're doing to catch someone's interest. And what's important here is the someone, because it needs to be adjusted based on who is in that lift with you, right? Who's listening to you at that time. So who, you know, depending on who's listening to you and depending on how much time you're going to have with them, right? Or what you want them to do for you, your pitch is going to be delivered differently. Okay, so not every pitch, of course, is going to be in a lift, and we're not doing our pitch jam in lifts. Okay, don't worry. But what we want is you to actually prepare a proper pitch, write a proper script, you know, have a context as to who you'll be talking to give yourself that sort of time to prepare your pitch properly. But then you could take that and you could apply what you do today, or you could apply what you pitch in 2 weeks' time to a shorter context as well. Now, why do we actually pitch? Well, put really simply, we pitch to be able to tell someone the story about your business, about what you're doing. But also, you might be pitching to someone that you know has something to offer. They might have resources for you, right? And you want to grab their attention so that you can have more time with them in the future. It could be someone you want to learn from, someone you want to get a job with, or someone you'd like to partner with. The point is, whatever it is, if you make a compelling pitch for that person, you're going to show them the value, right, that you add to them, but also that you value their time, because you put time to plan and to prepare, and that you know what you're talking about with your business. But also, you know, to remember that if you do that and you show that to them, they will look at you and think, you know, that actually you are important and valuable to them because you've really prepared. To show and tell what you are working on, right? And why it's worthwhile, why it's valuable, why it's worth your time that you're going into, you know, your business and into your idea, but also theirs. You're almost always going to need to pitch when you're applying for finance, okay, or grants, any kind of funding. You're going to need to pitch in some form. But also when you're looking at growing partnerships with other organizations, people will want to know who you are, right, and what you're offering. If you offer a service as an individual, right, you're going to need to show other businesses or other people why they should hire you, right, over someone else. So you're going to need to sell yourself and your service or your product. And finally, it's a great way to network. Okay, so you might be at a networking event or a conference, and your pitch might be a way, you know, to get into talking with someone in your industry, to connect with them and to relate to them as well, so they can engage with your idea. Now, a pitch doesn't mean you're going to get everything you want, which is why it's called a pitch, right? So this person throwing the baseball is called a pitcher. Now, if you do a great pitch, you're throwing the ball, but it doesn't mean that it's going to get hit or it's going to get caught at the other end, right? What it does mean is that it's developing and delivering a great pitch to maximize an opportunity with the person or the people that you have in front of you at that time. So when you're practicing your pitch, you're practicing your throw, right? You need to know who's on the other side of that pitch, and you need to tailor your pitch for them. And we're going to talk about that later. But ultimately, they might hit the ball, they might catch it, they might not. The main point is you're focusing not on, you are tailoring it to them, but you're focusing when you're practicing on how you deliver it and how you throw it. So I'll give you a quick example, okay? In 1920, a young illustrator was fired from his newspaper job because his boss said he had no creativity. And over the next 7 years, the artist had various jobs to pay his bills, but he still continued to pursue his dream of being an animator and an illustrator. So during this time, he would have pitched or presented his cartoons hundreds of times to banks, to movie companies, to commercial art studios, and really trying to convince them that his cartoons were valuable, that people would like them, and that people would engage with them. But 7 years on, still no one was backing him. So with every rejection, he tried to learn the reasons why his pictures weren't securing support. He wanted to keep learning about the people he was pitching to, just so that he could see if there were ways he could really personally inspire or connect with them, right? And this was before the internet, but he still always adjusted his pitch and practiced his pitch to make sure it was right for the person that he was pitching to try again and again. And in 1928, he finally made a successful pitch to a motion picture company who agreed to use his Lucky Rabbit animation in a film. The film was a success and it jump-started the career of a young artist. Now, does anybody know who this person was? Any ideas? Feel free to take yourself off mute. Anything in the chat? Steven Spielberg, a little bit early for Steven Spielberg, Fred. Anybody else? Well, I guarantee that everyone would have heard of this person. It is no other than Walt Disney. And Walt Disney, as everybody knows, Disney and Walt Disney and the studio, he went on to be nominated for 59 Academy Awards, won 26. So despite how amazing and incredible and the valuable ideas and being a pioneer of so many innovative things, the first cartoons that were synchronized with sound, the first full-length animated feature film, what we know today, that really changed that industry, what we see, what maybe our kids or nieces or nephews, or what we even saw as children growing up, he still had to pitch that to be taken seriously by those who had influence and power to get his animations seen. And even after that, right, Walt Disney continued to having to pitch over and over, right? Have this idea for a park full of real life animations or the happiest place on earth. And the pitch document for Disneyland was was a simple one, and it will just it's a place for people to find happiness and knowledge. And imagine how many times that might have been rejected. And today you've got Disneyland Orlando, which is the largest single site employer in the US. And Disney theme parks bring in more than $50 billion annually. I just had a friend who was there for 2 weeks. You can spend 2 weeks in the Disney parks. Now, what do we need to know before we start putting together a pitch? Of course, your pitch needs to have very clear MVP with clear features, because the first thing you need to have is the clear thing you're pitching. Because if your audience can't understand what it is you're trying to pitch to them, then they won't really be able to help you or be interested in it, because they won't understand what it actually is. Okay, so you really want to have very clear features, as we've been talking about throughout this program, right? Are you going to be talking about your product and service features? You're going to be talking about the process fulfillment features, your story, your brand, your customer service experience. It all comes into your MVP. It comes into your pitch, but you can't get everything in there straight away because you're under a bit of time pressure. So you need to think about what it is that you want people to hear. So how exactly are you going to grab someone's attention and really stand out? to them? How do you prove that your idea is worth their time and attention? Well, whenever we want to show something's value, we need to think of the user and how they're going to interact with it. So just like you've done with your customers and your product or your service, you need to do that with your pitch audience as well. So what do they need to hear? What do they need to think? What do they need to feel from your pitch? And you want to make sure that the person comes away from your pitch hearing and remembering things. So, you know, you want your audience to know what it is. You want to know, they want to know that clear MVP, your clear USPs, and your value add, right? That it adds to the market, your service or your product. I want to know how it looks like. They should be able to perceive a consistent, intentional, and professional looking brand from visuals that you show them, right? An outstanding pitch deck, or maybe you've got amazing marketing materials. And they're going to want to know how it feels to them, okay? There should be a very clear purpose, a very clear story, the human connection that the listener can have with you to connect with you. And if you have the person excited and they feel positive, and there's a meaningful association with your brand, your product, your service, right? They're going to have that energy, they're going to take it, right? And they're going to take it on as they go forward as well. People do business with people, right? Remember that. Now, you might not have complete brands yet. That's absolutely fine, because we're going to be talking more about a pitch deck, okay? And the way you can actually show as well the story that you're going to be telling, and the story you're going to be telling with a really well-written script to help people understand all of this. And this is exactly what we'll be covering today, all right? So don't worry, you don't need a complete brand right now, but you can still get people to connect with a really good story, with a really good script, and a really good pitch deck, which I will explain later. So again, when you're thinking about the user, you want to think about the most essential bits of information that they need to know. What's the most essential bit? What is it? What makes it special? What's it valuable to me? Put yourself in their shoes here. You know, how does it look? Is it visually impressive? Is it memorable? This is the sort of things they'll want to be remembering. And as I said, how does it feel? Why should I care? Who's the entrepreneur, right? So that's the user's perspective, okay? That's what they're going to want to see. And there's a lovely quote from Maya Angelou who said, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I think that's really, really, really important when you're pitching, when you're talking to people. You want to have a very convincing story, but you also want to have a very strong visual side to it as well, because you want to be remembered in people's hearts. Memories are something that we all have, and a meaningful memory, as we all know, is very visual, right? And it stays in your head, and that's how we want to make people feel when they walk away from their pitch. And talk about this a little bit more about pitching, is my absolute pleasure to introduce Turn champion, our dear friend and founder of Coffee with Kids, Mariam Tahir. Mariam's going to talk to you about her experience of being in your shoes this time last year when she pitched her idea for the very first time, and she'll show you where she is now with some top tips along the way. Mariam, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. And Mariam, if you're in the room, over to you, and please do take over the screen share. Everyone, join me in welcoming Mariam.
Oh, hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here today. I am Mariam Tahir, the founder of Coffee with Kids. I am mother of 3 children and doing my master's degree in analytical bioscience. I have joined you today to tell you more about my experience and my journey, as I was exactly in your shoes 1 year ago. I have never pitched before, and hopefully you can learn something from me today. Thank you so much. So why we need a pitch? Simply, no one going to take you seriously until you have a good pitch deck. You always need to show your idea in a very clear way. For example, when you want to present your idea to potential supporters, you want to catch somebody's attention, why they should help you. You need to grab their interest and show and tell what you are working on. So if you're asking for partnership, funding, network, etc. What makes a good pitch? In order to create a good pitch deck, don't write everything in your mind on the slide. Try and keep it simple as possible. Add a lot of images instead of text. So as we can say, less text is better. Also, try and have a good script. So for example, when you're pitching, you forgot something, you can have a quick look and just remember. Remember that you have to have a clear story, and your story doesn't change at all, but you can always grow it and develop it. So why it's very important to keep it simple? You have to keep it simple, very clear, because sometimes when you are confused, you're definitely going to make other people confused. Smile, introduce yourself in a very clear way, and remember to mention your strength. I can't remember in one of my presentations, actually the last presentation during Ideas into Action with Tern, I was introducing myself during the practice session with my coach. And then when I was introducing myself, I said, hello, I am Miriam. I am mother of 3 children. And I just said, I'm doing my master's degree in analytical bioscience, and this is my business. So he was like, stop here. You have to be proud of yourself. This is very unusual thing, being a mom and doing a master's degree, and plus starting new business. Always be proud of your idea and proud of what you are doing. Look your audience in eye, make them feel important and valuable. Avoid over moving, so use simple body language, simply. Okay, so I have just told you why it's important to keep it simple. I want to show you how I introduced myself. So after I said my name, I have 3 kids, I'm doing my master's degree, I've just started to introducing my business. So my business is Coffee with Kids. Coffee with Kids is a social enterprise, community coffee shop for refugees and low-income asylum seeker parents. I support them and their children by providing co-working space and affordable childcare service on site while the parents working or studying. My business idea, Coffee with Kids, was formed from my own experience. Being a mom, looking after my kids and studying at the same time, it was very challenging, and the lack of childcare services make it much more difficult. So simply, I introduced myself, my story, my business in a very clear way in a very short time. Why it's very important to have a simple and clear story? Because people are here to listen to your story. It's very important for them to know who you are, what you are doing, what you are working on. So have a clear story, clear idea. This is where I am now as a founder, but my story stayed same as 1 year ago. I am still a mom, still doing my master's, but what happened is Coffee with Kids was an idea, but today it's a business. I have progressed a lot, but my story stayed same. You can always change your pitch, but not your story. You only can develop it and change it. And remember, as Lucas said, people makes business with people, not with companies or branding or whatever. Okay, let's move to my first pitch deck. This is my first one. I made this one during ICE Academy. As you can see, it's not a perfect, a lot of text, one tiny image, but this pitch helped me a lot to learn how to introduce my business to people, to customers in a very clear and concise way, in a very small amount of time. It's only 5 minutes. Although I didn't have the brand or the business yet, and it's not that perfect, I still was able to introduce my business and deliver my asks. So this is what I had to do over and over again, talk about my story, my idea, my business in a very clear way, whether pitching or talking to someone on the street. So this is the way I used to introduce Coffee with Kids. Look at this. This is my deck now. As you can see, it looks great, much better, less text, easy to follow. And with my brand, as you can see, the small, tiny sticker, which is Coffee with Kids. What is important to know? My story never changed. I actually learned to say my story in a clear way last year when I made that pitch. And also I was able to tell my story this year with this pitch. This is what is so important to remember. Always keep your story same. Why you started this business? What are you doing? It's same. If people are confused, will not do business with you. So always be clear, be concise, be confident, tell your story, be proud of yourself, be passionate, and be you. Remember, nobody cares about mistakes. When I first joined, I was listening to one of Turn Champions. And I was like, oh, her English is very good. My English is not that good. So I was like very unconfident at the beginning. But with the practicing, with following Turn instructions, listening to my coaches, my mentors, I think I am more confident now. I learned how to tell my story. I trust myself. So people are here to listen to you, not to judge you. Always use the help and support provided by Turn. The last thing I would love to mention, which is the top tips that I have learned from my experience. The first one, if you can see that picture, this picture, I shared it with my team during one of my presentation. So my mentor was telling me about the story of her husband. He's a lawyer. He always writes like, remember to slow down on his papers when he is in a court. So I did that to just remind myself to slow down. The other tip, practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. And your story matters. Always keep your story same. Have a clear ask. What do you want from this pitch today? Do you want volunteering, networking, funding? Know your audience profile before you meet them so you know what you ask from them. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope that was useful.
Thank you so much, Mariam. It was really useful, and I'm sure Ali or Fred can share Mariam's LinkedIn, Instagram, but also her amazing website as well, which looks fantastic. And Mariam, I love what you're saying around, the how your pitch deck has helped you to be clear and concise, but also how your story and the reason why and the passion is the same, and it's there as it was on day one when you came into the program last year. And I think that's really great, and it's really cool to hear. So thank you so much for coming back and sharing your experience of pitching with us today. And I would love to now open up to the floor. If anybody has any questions for Mariam, please feel free to pop them in the chat or to take yourself off mute.
My name is Stella. I just wanted to ask you, the day of your speech, were you afraid to speak?
I was shaking actually, but I had a lot of support. My mentor was standing there, and everyone was looking at me, engaging with me, so I felt more comfortable.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's
You
normal.
give me the confidence now, so
Yeah.
I should not be afraid.
Normal.
Thank you.
Mariam, we have a question from Diana in the chat. What apps, I'm assuming you mean applications, did you use to make your presentation? So what sort of...
Yeah.
So,
PowerPoint. Yeah.
PowerPoint.
Any question?
Are there any other questions at all?
Can I ask where is the place, the cafe?
So we have just started actually having that fund. So we will be starting soon, but not yet confirmed.
Okay, nice. I hope you will be able to establish a store or a cafe soon, very soon.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate. Thank you.
Mariam, what was the most unexpected thing you ever got from a pitching session when you delivered a pitch? What was the surprising but good thing that happened?
Yeah, I think my first pitch at ICE Academy, I really expected a lot of people coming there. So I was dressed up like a suit and I was like businesswoman. Just like when I came, it was very simple. Like few people. I was so stressed out. I was like confused, but it was very easy for me and I was very confident because I was expecting like something huge, but it was okay.
That's nice. Family atmosphere in the first pitch.
Exactly.
Nice.
Any other questions at all? I guess, Mariam, what would you, I know I kind of know a lot of the things you've got from pitching, having worked with you, but to build on Fred's question, if you could, you know, what have you got from pitching, shall we say?
Yeah, the confidence, you know, that you are my coach. So you know that when I joined, I was very scared. I don't have that confidence. I'm scared of like public speaking, not because I'm bad of that. No, I'm really very, very good at public speaking when it comes to Arabic language. But in English, I just always think about my mistakes. Did I tell that in the right way? Did I pronounce that good? But I don't care now because the more important thing is my story, not my English ability or how I pronounce the words. I have a good idea and a good business, so a clear story. So yeah, this is what really matter.
And for the business itself, the best thing for the business, other than your confidence, of course, and your clear story.
Thank you. So, sorry, what was the question? Do you mean for what I have learned for my business, or?
No, it's in the best sort of tangible thing you got for Coffee with Kids because of a pitch.
Oh, so a lot of things. So I have got potential supporters, people who are supporting me. I made very good network. I got funding, 3,000 pounds. So a lot of things, actually. Yeah.
That's great. I think it's and yeah, that's it. That's brilliant. That's really nice to see what you've got from your multiple pitches. And we've got one more question in the chat as well, which was, what was the biggest lesson you learned from pitching multiple times from Humaira?
The biggest lesson. I mean, when you know exactly what you are asking for. So for example, if I'm looking for networking, I know the idea. I know how can I ask for this one exactly. If you are looking for funding. So I mean, preparing pitch deck for, yeah, every ask, I would say that maybe, yeah.
I think that's really cool. It's a really good answer. How you have your central pitch deck, but
Yeah,
changing it for different people.
exactly. Yes.
Are there any other questions? I've probably got time for one more before we say good night and thank you to Mariam. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Yeah, I have like, what did you learn from the pitching day before? Like, you didn't have this skills before you did the pitching day.
So you mean to say that what skills that I learned?
Yeah, about yourself and about the business. Like, what makes it change if you did the pitching day?
I don't know if I really got your point, but
So if you want to do a pitching day,
okay.
and you said it makes you more confident,
Yes.
and what else helped with you and with your business? Like, let's say if you didn't do a pitching day, so you don't have more confidence, is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say because I did this multiple times, now I can't, tell people about my business even if I don't have a pitch deck. So I learned that because I was practicing it every time. So if someone suddenly asks me what is Coffee with Kids, what is your business, I can't answer that question in the way that very clear and simple, and I can't deliver the idea maybe in 2 minutes because I learned how to say it a lot of times. Do you get me?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, and I popped that in the chat as well as really good advice, the way you can talk about it like that in a clear and concise way. Mariam, thank you so much for being with us tonight. That was really great, really insightful. An absolute pleasure to hear your journey with pitching and also with Coffee with Kids, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow in person for our next workshop. But yeah, Mariam, thank you, and please everybody join me in thanking Mariam for being with us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everyone.
Take care, Mariam. Thank you. Good night. Stay cool.
Oh, actually, it's very hot. Thank you.
Right. Moving on. Thank you once again, Mariam. It was absolutely awesome to hear your story. And as Mariam was saying, a pitch at its root is a brilliant story, right? And it's having that really good story. And she said, that's what makes it memorable, and like any good story, it has to make sense. It needs to have a very clear beginning, a middle, and an end, but it doesn't have to be in that format, but it has to have a clear story arc, and it makes sense, that's relatable to the person listening to that story. So you want to start thinking about your own story when you create this pitch. It's not your personal story, right? In terms of your life history, it's not the story of the MVP, but it's kind of the amalgamation of both of them, right? So it's how your story influenced your idea and where you're going with that idea or with that MVP, right? And the story arc is very much that past, that beginning, what made you start the idea, what's the present, what's happening now with the idea, and what do you plan to do in the future as you go forward. So you can see this very clear story arc. So let me give you an example about someone called Maya. Now, Maya is going to be our example today, and we'll come back to Maya later. So please remember Maya, because we'll be talking about her a few times today. Maya, this is a very simple story arc, so you can see it. Maya loved turtles since she was a young girl because she grew up by the beach, and she used to love feeding them, but also protecting them from being eaten by birds when they were born and were leaving the nest and trying to get to the ocean. She then went on to become a marine biologist and a wildlife photographer, to work on projects that protect coral reefs and turtle habitats, and is now raising money and support to launch a beach cleanup and reef pollution prevention not-for-profit initiative. So you can see her story, okay? It's her personal story. It's also the MVP or the idea, and it's how they kind of came together and how her own story, what she's been through, her experiences relates to and influenced her idea and her MVP. Because as Mariam said, you know, people want that relatability with people. They want to hear that story. So during the test week, it was all about show, tell, and ask. And the pitch is similar. You know, it's about telling, and your deck is about showing. So when you make a pitch, you have a couple of different elements. And the first one is your pitch script. And you want to have a good, solid pitch script. As Mariam was saying, this is the organized version of your business story that's scripted for a particular audience. Now, you might need to change this, right? And it might be spoken to one person in a lift or to a room full of people. But if it's delivered in an organized, in a clear, in a simple and concise way, and in the right way, a really good pitch and a good pitch script will spark curiosity, and it'll encourage people to ask more questions and ultimately give you a chance to speak more seriously about their potential investment in your ideas. Now, that doesn't mean investment financially, it might, but it means investment in terms of being interested in your ideas. But you can't just tell, you also need to show. And what accompanies your pitch script is your deck. You heard Mariam talking about her slide deck. She had the first one from last year and the one from this year. And this sort of accompanies the script and the story of your business. It's the visual materials that you show your story with to strengthen your pitch. And a pitch deck is always rather effective, but especially in meetings with big audiences, and especially those who really love numbers, right? Maybe it's accounting firms or financial planners or banks, because you can show it and you can put all the necessary information you need onto your deck with visuals, with graphs, with graphics, examples, evidence. But it can also express you, and it can express your business, just like we saw with Mariam's, where she showed you her branding, Coffee with Kids. She had the little emojis of the babies, because she was like, I remember when she was making that, and she said, I want to give off the image of Coffee with Kids. I don't want to just have a slide deck. I want to show people what Coffee with Kids is going to feel like. Yeah, so you can also have your own collection of colors, fonts, images, because a deck can stand by itself, because you can download that deck and you can send it to people, to funders, to partners, to other people, to show the concise version of your business story. And so you want to show and tell using your pitch script and your deck to your audience, right? Because you want people to see it, you want people to understand it, and you want people to feel it. And a good script and a good deck will help people do all of this. But ultimately, as we've said quite a few times, right, you need to know who you're pitching to, because a pitch will help you get those resources that you need for your business. So there's going to be a target kind of audience. As Mariam said in hers, she said sometimes she's gone to potential partnerships, or she's sometimes looked for money as well, right, when she's pitching. So what is it that you want to get out of this pitch in terms of who is it that you're going to go to, right? And that will, what you want to get out of the pitch will change who you go to. So some organizations, right, might pitch because they need a partner to be able to help them accomplish their mission. Some people might go to pitch for money and for startup cash. Maybe you're pitching to customers. But what you do want to do is that you're going to have a specific ask based on who you're talking to. She has her central deck, as she said, and she changes it based on who she's talking to. And you can think of it the same way that you might tell a story, just a general story, to a child, to a stranger, or to your best friend, or to a partner. You'll tell the same story, but you're going to tell it in a different way. So you want to take note of who you're talking to, right? You want to take note of them, and you want to speak their language, as it were. You want to get on their level. What do they care about? what might be their biggest objection, what, you know, you want to stay in front of them, and you want them to be listening to you. So depending on who it is, you know, you might be pitching to potential customers. So you might be thinking about, right, how's this customer different from somebody who's buying my product or service? Or am I trying to get this person to buy my product or service? Or is it, you know, somebody that you want to get more interested in your community, to get them to share it with people? Maybe you're pitching to a business who represents a lot of customers, okay? So, you know, you want to think about who that is as a customer. Maybe it's funding, so people that are going to finance your business, but maybe that's asking for loads of money from an investor, or you're asking lots of people to crowdfund and give you little bits of money, okay? So you want to be talking, you know, who are you talking to for with funders? And finally, maybe you're talking to partners. What can you gain from people? As Mariam said, she had lots of people who wanted to help her, but people also want to go into partnership. I can give a good example with Turn. We worked, or Fred and Charlie, not we, Fred and Charlie worked really hard pitching their, you know, their, what we're doing and what Turn's doing, and the impact that we might be having and are having to WeWork. And they pitched it in a way to say, you know, what a important role WeWork could play in this journey by giving us an office space, okay? And now we're here in Hoxton, and it's absolutely lovely. So, you know, it's about being clever in terms of who your audience is, but across all three, that core story is going to stay the same, but what you're asking for is going to change. And now when I'm talking about asks, part of knowing your audience is determining what we call an ask for your audience, because you need your audience to engage with what you're doing. You can't just have someone listen and assume they're going to go away. No, you're going to need to say, I want you to do this. I want you to engage with my business. I want you to engage with my service. Okay, so you're going to have asks. So for your pitch in a few weeks' time at the Pitch Jam, you know, maybe you're asking for feedback on my pitch, but you could also ask this to other people. Maybe you're asking for new ideas or features, or maybe you could ask, you know, how you could improve your pitch from people. But at the same time, you could use this opportunity, or future opportunities as well. Maybe you want to have potential partners and ask people to partner with me, right? Or you could ask, you know, to recommend funding opportunities given your business. Or you could ask people to volunteer with you, as Mariam did. You could ask people to follow you on social media as your story is growing, or get people to sign up to your mailing list. All of these are asks, right? But the thing is you want to have a clear ask so your audience does it, because you cannot assume that when they leave the room, if you don't ask them to do something, they're going to do it. And one thing that all audience will have in common is that they're going to have a very little amount of time for your pitch. As Mariam said, 5 minutes. Keep it simple. You might seem like you have so much to say, you got to bring everything in. But once you write the script, once you practice it, you know, keep it very simple, because 5 minutes is not a lot of time, but it should fit really easily into 5 minutes. So what are the important things that people need to hear? How do you break down complex ideas in a small, compact, nice and easy way? The less you talk, the clearer you are about things, right, in a short amount of time. As Mariam said, that pitch helped her to really learn how to make her talk about her idea in a clear and concise way, which she still does to this day. Because remember, exactly as Mariam said, if it's confusing, people are not going to know what's going on, and they're not going to engage with you, okay? Now, we've made a pitch script template for you in your roadmap. So in chapter 7.1, you have this, and it gives you some very nice, clear steps for you to follow. So first of all, you really want to, I'm going to just talk through these steps, and then I'm going to give you an example. So first of all, you want to introduce yourself and make the audience feel welcome. You know, tell them who you are, but also, you know, what the business is in a very short and simple way. As Mariam said, she's a mother of 3. She's doing her master's in analytical bioscience, and she talked about her experience when she needed childcare. You want to grab their attention. This is your moment to set the scene and grab the attention, but grab their attention. But you also want to then go on to show that you know who your customers are, you know what their problems are, and you know what they are and what you're going to be solving effectively with your product and service. And this is where you tell them what's your solution to those problems. This is your MVP, your USPs. What's your product, your service? How does it help and benefit your customers, right? What makes it unique compared to competitors? This is where you really want to show people. And also if there is a different version between your MVP and the future. And it's always good to show what you've achieved so far, even if it's early stage. People like to see progress. Okay, so here we put it as your test event. So maybe, you know, what do people say about it at the test event, or how are you changing it? And of course, you want to talk about your big vision. We don't just stay in this program. The whole goal is to go further. You will want to go further with your business. Okay, so you talk about your big vision, you talk about your next steps, even if they're closer, and then you have your ask about how the audience can help you. So I'll just give you a quick example. Now we'll remember Maya, right? So Maya's going to first of all introduce herself, and I'm going to play the role of Maya here. You have a lot of time to maintain a relationship with potential partners or investors. But the one thing you don't have is to maintain that first impression. That first impression will always be remembered. So you want people to feel welcome. You want to say hello, and you want them to feel at ease when you're talking to them. So Maya might go, hey, so nice to meet you today. Thank you all so much for being here. It's great to meet you. My name is Maya, and I'm a marine biologist and social entrepreneur. I was inspired to study marine animals due to the incredible privilege I had of growing up in a beautiful place called Turtle Bay, around so many beautiful plants and animals. Since I was a young child, I've always loved the turtles, who would build nests on the beach really near to my home. When they would hatch, I would wake up at dawn to run out to the beach and get away and swat away the pelicans who would come down and the different birds that would try to eat these beautiful baby turtles as they made it to the sea. My drive to protect marine life flourished as I got older, and I became a marine biologist to protect our coral reefs and all their biodiversity. So you can see how Maya's welcoming it in, setting the scene, and then she's going to be talking about her customers or their problems. Or at least, you know, what's that problem you're trying to solve? So again, Maya might go, if you've ever been to the beach and thought, wow, this is absolute paradise. That is how it was in Turtle Bay, but since I was a young child, so much has changed there. There's been an intense increase in plastic pollution washing up on the shore, and this has resulted in a very different habitat that is becoming more difficult for the beloved sea animals to live in. And unfortunately, this reality is a pattern across the planet. Thankfully, there are many people in the world who know and understand this, and who are deeply concerned about our shared oceans and waterways and the threat that plastic pollution causes towards sea life. Over 1 million sea animals are killed by plastic pollution every single year. Every single species of sea turtle today are considered an endangered species. And despite the fact that a sea turtle has a 1 in 5 chance of dying, if it ingests just one single piece of plastic, we dump 130,000 tons of plastic into the ocean each year. Researchers and environmentalists fear that by 2050, there'll be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Maya knows her stuff, she knows the problems. So then she's going to really come with what she's doing. The more I saw this firsthand during my marine biology studies in the reefs and came to understand the scope of this tragedy, I decided I needed to do something about it. I started where I could, just one step at a time, one piece of plastic. So I started organizing community beach cleanup days in my Turtle Bay community, where like-minded people would come and help, and they cared about the health of Turtle Bay, could get together and clean up the beach. And we called it Turtle Friends. And we grew from small groups of 3 or 4 to larger groups of 20 and 30. And we even started doing cleanup competitions and other fun events to make solving this issue fun, to meet loads of new different people. So Maya's going to talk about the progress now and what she's been doing. And the project has grown so much, so many people were interested, and we ended up collecting so much. Imagine the buckets and buckets of plastic. You know, they were as high as the ceiling. It was quite intimidating to see the levels of pollution that had materialized in front of us. And it began to realize we couldn't recycle this stuff fast enough. And in some cases, we couldn't recycle it at all. But we knew that it would get right back into the ocean. So some of the Turtle Friends volunteers, they told me that they knew of these other organizations that were using the items they collected to eventually create upcycled art and then bring money back into Turtle Friends. So we had some members of Turtle Friends start making small crafts and different bits of art from the plastics, and we got so much good feedback about the items, and we started selling them. And we're going on to talk about the big vision. What's the big vision and the next steps? Because this is growing. Now, my big vision is that we are all able to cluster and organize the plastic that we collect and turn it into materials and actually begin paying local artists and community members to upcycle them, and to create an online platform through which we will eventually sell these items. And then the proceeds that are made from this are going to go to our sustainable social enterprise, but also one day I hope to generate enough funding to actually purchase seafront land, conserve it, and create a natural conservation area. And finally, she's got an this pitch. Now, from day one, my idea has been supported entirely by amazing community members and all of Turtle Friends. And if you want to support us or become a Turtle Friend, I encourage you to please follow us on Instagram so that you can see when we launch our Turtle Friends online platform. You can purchase goods. But of course, if you live in the Turtle Bay area, you know, we'd love to have you down at one of our collections, and your feedback, tips on this pitch are always welcome, and I can't wait to see you on social media. So as you can see, all of these steps have been followed. There's a clear story, yeah, but Maya's also talking about what she's doing, but she's engaging with the audience on an emotional level, on a human level, to get them to engage with Turtle Friends beyond this pitch. So this pitch script is in your roadmap. You're going to be working on this, but you'll also be using a pitch deck. And I want to show you a very quick demo before we break out as to what this pitch deck looks like. So this is in your Google Drive. Give me 1 second. And we have copied it in. So you will have your pitch script, okay? And you want to work alongside the pitch deck template, where you can very simply go in, and we've created it in a way, and you can see an example of a finished one here, where you can go in and you can change the text yourself. We've created, you can simply right click and you could go replace image, and you could upload it from your computer, and you can choose an image to upload that you want to put on here, and it will automatically size itself perfectly. So you could put a picture of yourself there, and you can change your name here, and you can go through. There are even animations that are put in, and it's the same, and it really follows the pitch script, okay? So you've got all of this here that you can use, and you can work with, and it follows the pitch script exactly. So this can be the visual guide to your script when you are talking to people. And there are some bonus slides at the end. And if you want to see an example as to what that looks like, please just click here, and it will take you to this page where our good friend Maya has shown you what she's done with her pitch deck. She put a turtle at the beginning. This was what it looked like. She filled it out here. She talked about who she was. She talked about her business very quickly. She talked about the problems, the customers. She talked about her key features. She got some great feedback on what she's doing now. And she's got her vision and the big ask that she wants. And it goes alongside her pitch script. Okay, a lot of information there. we're going to take a 5-minute break now. We're going to go 40 minutes, okay, into a breakout now. Does anyone have any questions before we go into this breakout at all? I'll explain what we're doing, but please feel free to take yourself off mute or post in the chat. We're going to go in, work with our buddy, and we're going to start working on this script and pitch, and if you have time, the deck as well, okay? So start drafting your script. You want to write this in chapter 7.1 of your roadmap. Practice your pitch a little bit with your mentor, because you're going to be presenting to the group a little bit of a pitch. It doesn't have to be the finished thing, you know, you could only do the beginning, it's fine. Just practice a little bit with them and start to draft your pitch deck, okay? The pitch deck is in your Google Drive. The pitch script template is in your roadmap. Get going on it, start, try now. We have a few more sessions, which I'll explain later, to finish this off. You don't need to finish everything in 40 minutes, okay? Our pitch circles, which is now, you guys are going to go out, we're going to go out for 25 minutes with coaches and colleagues and buddies to practice your pitch so far. Don't worry, this doesn't have to be finished. We know it's not finished, but you're going to have 4 minutes, up to 4 minutes for now, to practice your pitch for the first time, okay? And then you're going to get a 2-minute feedback session as well, all right? So if it's a little bit shorter, your feedback will be longer, but don't worry, it doesn't have to be finished, but do try and keep it to 4 minutes so you get some good feedback as well, so you have that experience. And remember to be a yes speaker, be confident. And what does that mean, being a yes speaker? You stay you, be yourself. Like Mariam said, right? Be you, be authentic. Authenticity, or like not hiding yourself, is key. People want to connect with you. And remember that you know everything you're saying already. It's your idea. You know the answer to every question. Bring your camera on as well, right? Bring your camera on, keep eye contact. I know it's through a screen, this was meant to be in person, but you know, be present and be engaged, keep your camera on. And that goes for everybody in the room. If you're there as well, keep your cameras on and, you know, talk back to somebody or sorry, look back to someone. Smile. People want to see you. They don't want to see a blank screen, right? They want to see you, so smile. And with the speaker, structure it, right? You've got your intro, your body, your conclusion as well. So make sure you follow the structure, pace it. Pause when you need, don't speak too quickly. Pause for emphasis. See what I did there? Right? Use the pauses as well. You don't have to rush with all of that. Slow down and be nice and enthusiastic, right? Show that energy, show that emotion, show that passion where it comes from. If you've got this far as well, have a nice clear ask what you want from the audience. But if you don't, then remember that for when you do have a clear ask, keep it nice and simple. Less is more. Request questions and feedback. Welcome it in from people. And elevate your voice, okay? This is your time to talk. People are listening to you, right? So elevate your voice, use your voice, and be nice and confident. So we're going to go into a pitch practice. 4 minutes to practice your pitch, 2 minutes feedback. When you're getting feedback, because of the time, just listen, don't respond. Take notes in your journey journal. And when you're giving feedback, guys, everyone will get the opportunity. Buddies, entrepreneurs, coaches, take 30 seconds each to give feedback. Give feedback on what you loved, add some things on, any tips, connections, anything that you think's missing. What did you think about it? Okay, so we're going to go in now for 25 minutes. Actually, Ellie, make it 26 just because it will take us a minute to get going. And if you could open up the rooms now, that would be awesome. Amazing to everybody. Well done. Think about that. You've had 35 to 40 minutes to work on a script and you've already pitched. So imagine what you can do with even more time. So really, really, really well done. I can't wait to hear more pitches in the coming weeks. And what is coming up in the coming weeks? Well, your to-dos, first of all, of course, and I'm going to give you some suggested to-dos. And coaching session 3, if you haven't had it already, you've got a Calendly link from myself, from Ellie, and from Adele. Please book in your 3rd coaching session with your turn coach. This Thursday, we have an amazing turn skills session, which will help you bring your slide deck to life. Spend a lot of time working with the turn team there, learning about how you can actually make your first presentation, your first pitch, visual. Workshop 9 next week, guys. That's our last workshop. Can you believe it? We're nearly there. Don't miss that one next week. And of course, lots of pitch prep and the pitch events coming up. And let me tell you about all of these things in a little bit more detail in the last couple of minutes. Suggested to-dos. What I would really recommend this week is to find photos to use for your pitch deck, upload them to your Google Drive. We put, if you tested, a lot of test photos up on your Google Drive, which you can use, but also you can use the free websites that are available out there, which Ali, maybe you could post again in the chat. There's Upsplash, there's Pixels, there's lots of websites where you can get free stock photography to use for your pitch deck and finish and practice your pitch with your coach and with your buddy in the coming 10 days, because we are going up to our pitch jam on the 28th from 5:15 to 7:45. That is next Thursday. Next Thursday, it's going to be great. It's here in Hoxton at the Turn office, and I've already made a little agenda as to what the rooms might look like. Look at this, amazing. There are some names out there. You might recognize yourself. You'll be pitching with other people in your industry. So it'll be really cool. Guys, this isn't final because it depends on who says yes and who says no. And the reason, so don't worry, we'll send you an updated thing, but this is just a snapshot. But the reason why it's not final is because we need you to confirm that you are going to pitch and confirm you're available now in your WhatsApp groups. We'll send something out tomorrow, but if you already know, yeah, I'm definitely going to be there, put it in your WhatsApp group right now. And that goes for you as well, buddies. Put it in the WhatsApp group that's like, I'm going to be there and be #1 supporter, 100%, Thursday, the 28th of July, 5:15 to 7:45 at the WeWork in Hoxton at the Turns office. So please do confirm that. We'll send some communications out tomorrow morning, but please also, if you want to do it now, do it now. That would be awesome. It would be wonderful. On Thursday this week, guys, we have Visualize Your Idea. It's a chance to work with the Turn team. And it's Thursday. We sent you some comms this morning. Thursday, the 21st of July from 4 to 6 p.m. And it's a chance to work on that slide deck template to visualize your presentation slides, okay? You do not want to miss this one. And you also will get a chance to design some brand colors and start building that first presentation in Google Slides, okay? So you don't want to miss that one. We sent you some communication about that WhatsApp at this afternoon. That's Thursday, the 21st of July, 4 to 6 p.m. Now, as I said, we're coming to the end of the program, which is mad. And that also means we've got our graduation celebration on Wednesday, the 3rd of August from 6 to 8:30 p.m. You would have got an email from Isabel last week and today as well. It would have come out and it would have said, sign up on the Eventbrite. We need you to sign up so we know who's coming to our graduation. Guys, this is just fun. This is just food, dancing, speeches, and celebrations. So please do come to that. It's going to be a great way to mark the end of the program, of all of your hard work, all of your achievements. We'd love to see you there. Super relaxed environment. And this will be Wednesday, the 3rd of August. But please scan, first of all, this said QR code to register on the Eventbrite. So please, I'm going to hold that up for 30 seconds. Please scan this, register. You would have also got an email on Friday and today, which you can click on that link to register. And I'm going to say register again so that now I've said it, it's been 30 seconds. You've hopefully registered, right? On the green, which is in Clerkenwell. Closest train station is Farringdon. It's about a 2-minute walk, so it's super easy to get to as well. Next week, financial planning, the last workshop of the Up Collective program, previously known as In Good Company or ICE Academy last year. So the last workshop we have, financial planning, and you're gonna start looking at defining your financial needs and your budget as you go forward after the program. Start looking at defining your costs, your pricing at a very early stage, and learning about sales, cash flow forecasts looking forward. Okay, so this is a really important part of business, something everyone's going to need, and this is our intro session into this next week. You don't want to miss it. Ali's going to be leading on it. It's going to be an awesome workshop. It's super interesting. We've got amazing tools, which you can see as well. And finally, last but not least, please leave some feedback. Of course, we need to make this program better. We want to make it better. We can only improve if you tell us how we do that. So I will leave this up now. I'm sure Ali or Fred will pop in the chat, bit.ly/turnfeedback. Please fill out some feedback, whatever that is. We want to make this better, and we can't do it without your feedback. We value you guys. We appreciate you. You're all doing amazing. Those pitches were so inspiring to hear. It was great. Can't wait for the pitch day. That's all. Stay cool, both literally and metaphorically. Thank you for all you're doing, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.